I'm not talking like a little butterfly or a small tramp stamp or
Small tramp
or like an ankle tattoo.
Yeah.
These would be anywhere from like 70-year-olds. Welcome everyone to episode 70 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, 70. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, I'm worn out.
You are worn out. Look at you. You look tired. You look like you haven't slept in 70 episodes.
Yeah, right?
Oh, man. But really, are you worn out? Because I know you were just vacationing recently, so we're not even that far coming off of your vacation experience. So can you tell me what's going on?
We went down to Florida. We went to Universal Studios.
Oh, okay.
And it was fun. Discovered that several things.
Yes, I want to hear about this because, we did Disney earlier this year, and it was, eye-opening for me. So I kind of hear about Universal.
Harry Potter was cool.
Okay.
Yep. My daughter enjoys the lazy river at the hotel.
Nice. I love a lazy river, man. Your daughter, that's in my heart, brother. Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, where is she? And I was like, oh, she's the lazy river.
Lazy river.
I go over there and like go float with her. And she's like, oh, I've been around like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, okay.
Lost on the lazy river. I love it.
So we were at a on-site resort.
Okay.
So it had plenty of different demographics. Had, people from Europe.
Oh, yeah.
People from different parts of the country.
Yeah.
Different backgrounds.
So it's like a small world within a world, right?
Right.
Like it's like a community.
And I'm not exaggerating.
Okay.
I would say more than half the people there had some form of a tattoo.
Oh, really?
And I'm not talking,
You're talking like sleeves and...
I'm not talking like a little butterfly or a small tramp stamp or or like an ankle tattoo.
Yeah.
These would be anywhere from like 70-year-olds down to your 30-year-old.
Oh, man.
With like not just both sleeves, but like their back or like their entire leg.
Oh, man.
And then it like encroaches onto like their front, like chest area.
What are you looking at that for?
Like entire like chest tattoos.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, as someone that doesn't have one.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have tattoos? I don't either.
I don't have one.
I'll tell you why you don't have one in a second, but I don't know if your train of thought. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I noticed this stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm actually looking at it like, oh, well, what is it? I'm intrigued, but then you can get yourself in trouble if you're staring too long.
That's right.
It's something. And
get your sunglasses on, Steven.
Yeah, right. So, I was shocked.
Okay.
By how many tattoos I saw.
Well, I was going to say,
and like I don't know, like I have a very small world now that I work at home.
Oh yeah,
I interact with people on the block. And that's about the extent of my circle.
You don't usually see like massive amount of tattoos, but as I say, the reason why you and I don't have tattoos is because you're Italian family, my Greek family. If it's anything under the same, like there's no tattoos. My dad was the guy that was like Brillo pad to tattoo off if you get it. So it wasn't happening for me. So anyway, so rest of vacation,
it was good.
It was good.
I mean, I hate driving through Atlanta. It's awful.
Yeah.
No matter what time you get there, it's awful.
I was going to say, man, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I guess you can't go drive through it. They built the beltways. You can't drive around it. I mean, they need to make like an upper interstate to go over it, I guess. Because it just takes so damn long to get through it.
Oh, man, that's crazy. I think I've only driven through Atlanta one time because since we typically vacation in Carolina, it's like
true.
I'm not going that far. But I have driven through there, and I think the time I drove through Atlanta, everybody in the car was asleep. It was on a trip to spring break. So I remember it not being very fun, and especially not with a minivan full of people. Like I borrowed my parents' minivan to drive everybody to spring break. That was a lot of fun. So, but that's cool, man. I'm glad that Harry Potter's banging there at Universal. Like it was been a while, but I think I was there in 2012 for an academic conference.
Yeah.
And I remember spending quite a bit of time at Universal. By the time the day was over, I was like, I want to leave because everybody else was a bigger Harry Potter fan than I was. And
I mean, I'm not like gigantic.
Yeah.
Like I know a little bit about it, but it was just the whole like, they built the streets of it.
Yeah.
The taverns and fire breathing dragon they have there. And
any bourbon hunting for you while you're down there?
a little bit. I went to ABC,
Okay.
looked around. They didn't have too much, but in a glass case,
Oh, glass cases are always
I know,
where the
right?
good stuff's at.
I found a bottle of a 1792 single barrel pick.
Oh, that's solid.
So I bought that.
Was it adequately priced? Like not too.
42.
Yeah, there you go. That's what's
good,
up,
yeah.
right? That's good.
And it was a pick.
Yeah.
So it was just a standard
Hey,
single barrel. So
I
I was
like
I'll
single barrel.
I'll pick up one of those.
Yeah.
But that was about it.
That's about it.
The shelves were.
Did you see anybody else in there while you were there that was staring at shelves? Because that's one thing from my vacation. I remember, like, there were other people there staring at the shelves, like something magically was going to appear. Like,
No, I was the only person looking at bourbon.
okay, oh, that's cool. That's good. Eh?
I basically had the whole bourbon section myself.
Yeah. At least you had to deal with that. Because
Yeah.
that can be kind of annoying. Like, I remember when I was in North Carolina, they were rolling something out of a cart. It was tequila, but somebody was like, oh, what is that? What is that? Is that bourbon? And I was like, oh, God. I'm like, can't you just see? It's like a massive tequila bottle. Like, what are you even talking about? But anyway.
So that was my trip.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad we're back in the swing of things. But again, working around these schedules, man, it's tough.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll have another week or so during the summer that's going to be.
We never intentionally have a gap week. We love to put content out. So when we can, we do it.
Yeah, I mean, we do try to bank a few if we know we're going to be gone, but sometimes it's just hard to get them out, even if we have them recorded.
Absolutely.
So we did have some more reviews.
Oh, yeah. And I have to apologize because I'm an idiot.
What's wrong?
Because, so the division of labor is that we try to, help each other out when it comes to different social media platforms.
Okay.
And we always talk about giving us, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, which we want you to do that.
Yeah.
Well, we actually had 2 people that had rated us and recommended us on Facebook.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah, exactly. So you can rate us on these other platforms too, and we will acknowledge you. So it's long overdue here because one of these came in on May 20th, right? So we had a recommendation on Facebook from Sean P., who says, simple, polite, informative podcast about bourbon and life. And then we had another review recently from Kurt K., who said, not pretentious, informative bourbon discussion. I learned a ton catching up on previous episodes while relaxing on a beach vacation.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, where do you want to be? Listen to us while you're on your beach vacation. I want to listen to us while we're on a beach vacation.
Yeah.
Right? So that was awesome. It was very humbling. Very nice to see reviews on Facebook. And I apologize for not getting to the sooner. I'm an idiot. But anyway.
Well, thank you guys. And if anyone wants a shout out, just leave us a review on Apple Podcast
or Facebook.
or Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll give you a shout out next time we record. So Anthony, you brought this big green sage box to my house.
I was going to say, is it sage? You know, my color blindness. I can't tell if it's sage, green, gray. What color is it?
It's a very light, like a light green.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we opened it up.
Oh yeah.
And for this week, we have a bottle of Angel's Envy. It's the Cellar collection. It is rye whiskey finished in Ice Cider Casks.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this one is coming to us from the Louisville Distilling Company. That's located in the heart of the Bourbon District in Louisville, if you guys are ever visiting. Angel's Envy is right there. The bottle date is 2022. ABV on this one is 53.5 or 107 proof. The age statement is actually not on the bottle. It's on the neck tag, and it says this is 7-year-old rye whiskey that is aged 1 additional year in Vermont Ice Cider Casks. So that's coming from Eden Ciders in Vermont. That's where they get the casks from. And the mash bill on this is a 95% rye distilled in Kentucky. The MSRP is a blistering $250.
So that's why it was in a box.
Yeah, that's why it was in a box. But I will say this, when this thing first came out, it was $500 to $600 on the secondary market. It's limited to 6,000 bottles. I think we have bottle number 457 out of 6,000. So that's pretty cool. Low number, maybe better. I'm just kidding. But anyway, those are the specs.
So right off the bat, what is ice cider?
I don't really know. I'm not an experienced cider drinker.
Okay.
But if this is a specialty company up in Vermont, and I'm sure they have a great product, I didn't have a lot of time to research or look into it, but my guess is, I've heard of ice wines and things like that. So I'm guessing it's some kind of process where they do something by barreling a cider, like an alcoholic cider, in some kind of a cask and doing something with it to bring out certain flavors. And so these casks, whatever was in them before cider, then to Angel's Envy, putting a rye whiskey in them.
Okay, because the only other ice I know is like Molson Ice or Bud Ice. So,
oh God, natural ice was the
natural ice,
worst experience I ever had in college in my entire life. Right? Hey, what do you want? I want the natty ice. It's the cheapest with the highest alcohol content. Oh God.
So,
well, thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Now it's in my head.
Obviously, if it's in a box and it's like a light sage pastel color.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to catch your eye on the shelf. There's no doubt about it.
There's no missing this one.
No.
You'd say, what is that?
Yeah. And, but when you open it up, it is the same Angel's Envy shaped bottle, but the bottom half has been iced. The glass itself. It's been frosted. It looks sick.
Yeah. I mean, this bottle is there's no other way to describe it. It's a nice looking bottle. I mean, and then the front has like this, the gold embossed wings that have become synonymous with the brand. Their branding is always about the Angel's wings. Of course, I'm sure it comes from Angel's share, but because they lose a certain percentage of any product because they put it in the barrels, and of course they're always secondary aging most of their products. I think all their products are secondary age, like meaning that they take their core product and put it in some other kind of cask to make what they're releasing. So I mean, it is probably the coolest Angel's Envy bottle that I've seen, and presentation is a lot for them. Like, I know this isn't like a wooden box like their cask strength release, but it's a really nice looking box, very nice presentation. From the neck tag, they got a little card that accompanies it talking about the process to make it. I mean, what else are you seeing on this thing that you're liking?
Well, in the box there was some sort of card that kind of give you more information, notes and such.
Yeah.
A little history about the company.
Of course.
The box was magnetized.
Yeah, the little enclosure is like a magnet enclosure.
The presentation's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
do you feel like you're getting something for the $250?
Yeah, that $250 price tag is hefty. I mean, I can't, once we try it and talk about it, we'll see if it's worth it. But it's definitely interesting and very nice presentation.
Well, with that, should we go for our first notes?
Let's do it.
It's definitely 107 proof.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how much ethanol is hitting me. It's quite a fair amount for it being 107. It's not like it's 120 or 125.
Right.
Very sweet.
Even with the spice of the rye.
Yeah.
That cider is in your face.
Yeah, overwhelmingly sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just pick it right out. It's very pleasing. It's almost got, so I don't know if our listeners or if you have ever had the regular rye that they do that's aged in the Caribbean rum casks. Have you had that?
I don't remember actually if I have or not.
Okay. Well, that tastes like it's got like a mapley note that's like a pancake syrup almost. It's like, it's good, but it's so desserty that it's like
too much.
You got to be in the right mood for it. Okay. I mean, I like it, but you got to be in the right mood for it. This is actually a nice balance because I am catching a little bit of that maple sweetness on the nose, but then I'm also catching a lot of like fall feelings, like I'm in apple orchard.
Yeah, so you definitely smell. To me, what smells like an apple cider.
Yep, definitely
from like an orchard.
Yeah, like fresh. Yeah. Like we're talking like fresh apple cider.
You get like the half-gallon plastic jug.
Yep. I can't help. I have to say this again though, because those of you guys who like sticking your nose in the glass, like Steven over here, like I look over sometimes and his nose is, he sticks it down in there. It just, the ethanol keeps coming back.
Yeah, it doesn't go away. Even like swirling.
It's crazy.
Just letting it sit there.
It's very crazy. And I know we got a little bit geeky sometimes about our color. The color on this one's not super remarkable. It's like an ambery color.
Yeah, it's pretty standard looking.
And then the legs fall very quickly off the side of the glass. So I think that's because it's a little bit, I mean, it's not as old as what we tasted last time, but sometimes when you taste things that are, certain ages and certain finishes. I don't know if the finish has anything to do with it, but the legs sort of fall off the glass pretty quickly. So when we talk about Angel's Envy, did you know that this bottle represents their 4th release of their Cellar collection?
I did not.
Well, it does. And their first one was, they think they did Oloroso sherry finishing. I could be wrong about that, but some kind of sherry cask. Their second one was tawny port. And their third one was a Madeira finish. And then that brings us to this one. But those 3 were bourbon. I think this is the first rye of their Cellar finish collection, or their Cellar collection.
Well, all of the other ones, you know, if they're the same age product that they then finish in a cask?
I don't recall offhand if they are or not. I know that they all have carried that price tag. I even think the tawny port may have cost more. I think the tawny port was like almost $300. Maybe that was just at the store I tried to buy it at, but I know I saw it for $300. But
you know, thinking about the price of this, and so this is a 7-year rye.
Yes.
I mean, how much would Willet charge for a 7-year rye?
Well, I think we've talked about this in a previous episode, but like if it were retail, I think Willet's 7 or 8 year old rye, if you could get it at retail, was like $250 or $300. But the general rule of thumb with Willet is every year is $100. So 6 year, $600. Okay. 7 year, $700. But that doesn't apply to rye. It applies more to their bourbon than it applies to their rye. So their rye's like, I think I saw an 8-year-old rye recently sell for $450. I think $450 was about the price of the Willet rye for 8.
And that's, I mean, 7, 8-year-old is really old for rye.
Yeah, I mean, you don't typically see rye aged that long. You know, that's just because of the demand for rye. I mean, people aren't like barreling up rye whiskey saying like, well, wait till this is 20 years old like they were with bourbon. So, but good aged ryes that are done right, they fetch a lot because they usually taste pretty delicious.
So what is your feeling? You know, I mean, a good 7, 8-year-old rye by itself is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, what are your feelings that they're putting this in a cider cask, which is giving it some, you know, I guess a little bit more depth. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like.
Are you asking me why they didn't just release a 7-year-old rye?
Like, you know, sometimes I feel like these casks are like hiding the youth of like a bourbon. But this is obviously can hold its own. I'm assuming it can hold its own without the finish.
You know, that's a really good point. But here's the thing. Like, if you have to look at Angel's Envy as a company, they started all the way back in 2006, right? Mm-hmm. And so Lincoln Henderson, now deceased, had really big history in the bourbon industry. You know, if you want to know more about that, you could probably look into some more research on that. Then, of course, the legacy's continued with his son Wes, but they've always been a company they've finished bourbon and rye in different casks.
I'm aware it's their thing.
Yeah, so it's like I know where you're going with it, and I completely am with you. Like, you got to ask yourself, will they ever release the product like just a 7-year-old rye without any finishing? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, because I just don't know that that's their thing. Like, even their cask strength release that happens every fall season is just their core product, and it's aged a little bit longer at cask strength, and it's pretty tasty. It's different than the standard. I think their standard product's close to 90 proof. Maybe it's high 80s, but
it's not covered up by a cask finish, then, right?
What, their standard product?
No, their high proof thing.
No, it is, because all their standard product, their standard bourbons, all aged in ruby port barrels. So I just think that's their thing. And so, but it does beg the question: what does their regular distillate taste like? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if everything's heavily aged and then heavily finished, what's the essence of it? And so I guess that's the true essence of it is that's what they're doing. That's just that's what they do as a company.
That's what they want, and that's their
thing,
angle, I guess, into the industry, to the market.
Exactly. But think about how many people love Angel's Envy. Like, I know people that aren't bourbon drinkers that are like, that's my favorite bourbon, you know?
So I guess they can get maybe a wider audience with the casking finish.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, should we taste this and figure out whether we're going to like it or not?
Let's explore. Let's go for our first taste.
All right, I'm ready. Wow. It's very sweet.
Surprising. Oh, I mean, yeah.
Like sweet. Like desserty sweet, but also has some spice. The spice. Oh, there's the spice.
No.
I'm just messing around.
Yeah. that finish they did in that cider cask is definitely coming through.
Yeah, it's very strong. It's very apple forward. And what kind of apples we're talking about? We're talking about like red delicious, the red apple skin, not like, golden or green apples. You're just getting a really appley caramel apple flavor.
Yep.
It just, there's really no other way to describe it. I think, what was the other thing you were picking up there? I think the spice of the rye balances nicely, makes it taste almost like a fall day.
Yeah.
Which is weird in the summer. But like when I say fall day, I'm talking like you guys probably, it's so hot right now. Right?
It's brutal.
It's like brutally hot in our part of the country and a lot of parts of the country that you can't imagine it. But think about that like 55, 60 degree fall day and having it, the sun go down and then the spiced cider comes out. You don't have to spike it with anything, but if you spiked it with like a little bit of rum and you had a spice pack and you put that's kind of what this reminds me of. It's like a very spicy cider flavor, and pleasant, man. Like I want football season to start now.
Yeah. As we're saying that, I had my eyes closed and I was like kind of imagining what you're describing, and I could imagine it was in like one of those tall glass, Irish coffee glasses,
yeah,
and like steam was coming up.
I know what you're talking about.
And you had your cinnamon stick in there.
Oh, there's cinnamon. There's definitely cinnamon in here,
and you're just sipping on it.
Yeah,
yeah, and it had that apple cider taste to it. Yeah, that's what it tastes like.
Yeah, it's like I hate to call it one dimensional because it's going to make it sound bad, but it's very, very. If you don't like apples, you ain't like this.
Yeah. I mean, the name says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they aren't hiding it at all. It's there. It's in the name. And I actually think it's pretty tasty. What do you think finish wise?
It goes.
Yeah. It's got a pretty long finish.
That 107 really shows itself in the finish.
I think that ethanol that we're catching on the nose is definitely going back palate.
It's got to go somewhere. It's going down.
Still keeps going.
So with that, Anthony, would you pass, try, or buy on the Angel's Envy, the Cellar Collection, the Ice Cider Cask Finish?
Well, this is a rare one for me because I think last episode I was a buy, and I'm actually going to be a buy again. So I'm on a buy train. But man, whoop, there you go. Back up the truck now. I'm not an overly like apple guy. I do like apple pie, and I think that's why this is hitting a lot of good notes for me. And I will say this, Angel's Envy, their special releases haven't garnered a ton of attention. And this was the first one that really garnered a lot of attention in terms of like secondary and resale. Like there's been years that people bought the cask strength for $250 on the shelf. They end up selling it for like $200 because they didn't want it. Nobody wanted it. They just saw it and they thought it was a good buy. But this is definitely a different animal. Like I really like it. It's different than a lot of ryes that I've tasted, and it's just a pleasure to drink. So I'm going to be a buy even at $250. I don't think that we'll talk about the secondary here in a second, but go ahead.
So the flavors on this are very specific.
Yes.
It's apple. Mm-hmm. Apple cider. Apple toddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's apple.
It's very apple.
So because of that, I think I'm going to be a try.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I can just drink this. I think it's a very specific drink.
Yes.
And
you bring up a great point, by the way. Yeah. I should have said something about that, but you're hitting it, man.
I definitely try it anywhere you are if you see it because of the limitability of it.
Yeah.
I would say just go ahead and try it. But even saying that, if you know it's limited, maybe you should just buy it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Know?
Yeah.
But if it wasn't limited, I think I'm still going to be just a try.
Just a try.
It's good. It's almost like one of those things that's very specific reason to drink it. I don't know if it needs to be paired well with a dinner.
Yeah.
It's almost like, some of the port finishes or something that just, if you buy the bottle, you may have it for like 15 years before you finish it. Because
it's not something you'll reach for all the time. Yeah. I hear you. And that's a great point because, again, a lot of people that might be listening or people that are exploring a category, we talked about this when we talked about the Leopold Brothers and Dickel Rye. Like, that one is a very unique flavor.
And that'll stay around for 15, 20, maybe lifetime.
Yeah.
Before you finish it.
And it's a very specific...
That's for another reason.
That's smirk. But, I mean, a unique rye-flavored whiskey is something that is not going to appeal to everybody. So that's a really important point that you made. Like, even though I think it's good and you think it's good enough to try, there are other people who would probably drink this that are straight bourbon drinkers that might hate it.
I mean, this would be a sin, but I mean, maybe you put this on ice.
Oh.
Because of the apple cider part of it.
Yeah.
And maybe
cool it down.
I'm not saying cool it down. It would just be like a different flavor.
Yeah, different flavor. Yeah. That might calm some of the ethanol too. Like, I had a pick recently that it was okay on its own, but it was 120 proof. Mm-hmm. And so I added water to it. It was delicious.
Really?
After a couple, like, it was probably about 10 drops of water. It just changed the whole entire flavor profile of it. And I was thinking, like, man, like, I don't know how much proof it dropped. I don't have a hydrometer or anything, but like, it was perfect at that proof. So I get what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I have to give a quick shout out because I was only able to acquire this bottle because a listener of our show and a friend, Landon Charles, was the guy who actually hooked me up with this bottle. So thank you, Landon. But I was thinking about it when this came out. I can't tell you how many people know that I'm a rye person, but because the resale was so high on this, people are just buying it and reselling it. I'm like, hey, I thought we were friends. Hey, come back. You know, I'm like, come on, can somebody just hook me up with one? And Landon was the only guy that did it. But like, that's one of my number one pet peeves when it comes to like the community. There's so many people local here in Lexington that, I mean, hey, I've done it times too. You know, we sometimes sell stuff we don't want, whatever, you know, or not even things that we don't want. We just sell things because we have too much stuff, or we might, you know, just see a need for something else, like unexpectedly having to replace tires on your car or something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it compels you to sell. But the thing that drives me the most nuts about, not to pivot real quickly, but I will mention it, is the fact that there are a lot of people that buy local for a discount, then they sell national for max profits. Mm-hmm. And that's a big no-no for me. And I don't know why, but when this released, that kind of really came to me and really upset me because a lot of people were snatching these up here in Lexington and selling them national for like $500-$600, and good on them. They made some money, but like, I was like, man, I'm just trying to get one bottle to help a brother out. and nobody but Landon helped me out. So I hate that. I hate the national local dynamic where the flip is like, let me get it from somebody cheaper here, sell it national or something else. But I mean, that makes me sound like I don't know.
Well, it's good to have good friends.
It is good to have good friends. Yeah. And absolutely, I, you know, the other part of it, well, we'll leave that for another discussion.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat. Super neat. Though, I don't know if anyone's going to leave us any thoughts on this bottle since it's 250 and it's limited.